Fire. There are more than 20,000 Druge warriors in Holberg. It's not entirely clear how long they have been there when the news of the massive Orc force reaches the city proper. A month? 6 weeks? They were certainly not present before the summer solstice, but there were reports of Druge activity in Holberg during the summit, of League heroes engaging Orc scouts on the shores of the Semmelach. What was taken at first to be an isolated group of opportunistic raiders in retrospect appears to be a symptom of something more serious. The first real evidence that there may be more significant invasion force in the Eastern League territory come from scattered reports of stealthy Orc scouts in the marshes of the Morass and Rebesov and Enneland, of a small caravan of Imperial merchants travelling through Miserycord towards the new Sandfisher settlement on the shores of the Semmelach, disappearing without trace, and of encounters between wide patrols and suspiciously well-equipped and dangerous bandits in the eaves of Utterland. One such patrol raises real concern at Holberg when it is reported as 2 days overdue. The sole surviving member is eventually pulled from a stinking pool east of the great pits of Enneland, delirious and on the brink of death. The miners listen to her raving and swiftly dispatch runners to the city to deliver the scout's message. The Druge are coming. Immediately the garrison of Holberg mobilises. Contingencies prepared years previously are put into operation. A number of people living outside the walls in the gentrified district of Holmar leave their homes and move to the upper city to the safety of Holfried. There is little doubt that the largest fortification in the Empire, one of the largest defensive structures in the entire known world, will protect the people from any number of Orcs. But what about the people who do not live behind those walls? The miners of Enneland, the farmers and herbalists of the Morass and Rebeshoff, the woodcutters of Utterland. What about the Sandfishers? Following the vague report of the surviving scout, the defenders of Holberg confirm that the worst has happened. A major Druge force has invaded Holberg across the river from Farweald and established armed camps along the eastern borders. It is very difficult to gather any real information about their dispositions or deployment. The garrison's focus is on protecting the people of Holberg rather than scouting the enemy. It's clear the Druge are already some way towards claiming Utterland. The garrison of Holberg and 2 small free companies do what they can, but nobody is much inclined to enter the woods themselves. Not with the thousands of Druge, not with the bodies of the missing scouts, hanging in pieces from the trees along the edge of the forest. From the expressions on the impaled heads, those Imperials who have fallen into the hands of the Druge here did not die easily, or quickly. Over the next month, the Druge continue to press into Utterland. They send scouts and saboteurs south into Enneland, but they quickly retreat when they encounter any resistance. They also apparently send warbands north into the Sandfisher-controlled region of Miserycord. The Sandfishers are terrified when they learn of the Druge presence in Holberg. According to the Orcs, some of their hunters and foresters have already gone missing, or have been found skinned and staked out or hanging from trees. They are in absolutely no doubt as to why the Orcs are here, to punish them for leaving Ossium, to punish them for cooperating with the Imperials. They are desperate, paralysed with fear, with the certain knowledge that the Orcs of the Malum intend to make a terrible example of them. They send messengers to the people of Holberg, pleading for their protection. A League patrol confirms the Sandfishers' worst fears. It is impossible for the defenders to be sure what is going on in the woods of Utterland, but the evidence suggests that the Druge invasion forces are trying to establish a beachhead. They could have attacked Enneland, but their decision to focus their efforts in Utterland lends some credence to the Sandfishers' fears that the Orcs of the Malum are there for revenge, not conquest. A large band of elite Arcad warriors drawn from the cruel Black Wind and stealthy Arrow Viper armies are moving northwest through the woods of Holberg, making for the Sandfisher settlements. Led by a Tepel apothecary, there is no doubt that if they reach the banks of the Semmelach, they will be able to slaughter hundreds of practically defenceless Orcs. It is too late for the garrison of Holberg to intercept this force before they reach the Sandfishers. There is still hope, however. There is a major conjunction of the Sentinel Gate available that could be used to place Imperial heroes between the Druge and their prey. The battle would be savage indeed, but if the Druge are defeated, not only would it prevent an atrocity, it would send them a clear indication that the Empire intends to fight for the Sandfishers, to defend them against the Malum Orcs. Combined with the other efforts the League and the Imperial Orcs are making to help the Sandfishers begin their new lives in Holberg, this would greatly increase the Orcs' confidence in the Empire and the beneficence of their human neighbours. Assuming the Druge can be defeated, of course, the Orcs of the Malum will have no intention of making that easy. A fortnight before the autumn equinox, a foul rain begins to fall across Holberg, a rain horribly familiar to those who lived through the Druge occupation. It fouls every water source. It corrupts the marshes with sickness and raises clouds of buzzing, blood-hungry, disease-bearing insects wherever it falls. The rivers run red with the taint of corrupted spring magic. Game information. Holberg. The Druge are nearly 3/4 of the way towards claiming Utterland. The only factor that has prevented them from doing so is the presence of the immense, well-garrisoned walls of Holberg. In the absence of the fortification, they would have easily claimed the entire forested region and begun to make inroads elsewhere. There is a good chance they might have been successful in establishing their beachhead had the walls not been raised to their current splendour by the Imperial Senate. The inky black skies of Holberg make it difficult to gather information magically, or scry the forests, but even so it is impossible to miss the fact that there is a cruel army in Holberg this season. Indeed, it is clear that the army has been engaging in a merciless onslaught as part of the invasion, tormenting and executing any who fall into their hands. There also appears to be an army engaged in gathering intelligence in Holberg. There is no doubt they now know where the sandfishers are, and have assessed the relative defences of the city itself. It also appears that there is an army with some kind of magical ability in Holberg. The spring magic spreading across the territory makes that obvious. It is not clear at this time what other magics they may be working in the eastern forests. Finally, the civil service confirmed that major conjunctions of the Sentinel Gate have been identified that will allow the military council to send Imperial heroes directly to stop the murderous Druge intent on slaughtering the sandfishers. Intercepting the attack will save many lives, but it will also have a profound effect on how the orcs, both the sandfishers and the orcs of Ossium when they hear of it, view their neighbours in Holberg, showing that the oppressive cruelty of the Druge is no match for the strength and determination of the Empire.